You're listening to Systemic Era Podcast. The failure was designed.
Former Joint Chiefs Chair sounds alarm about Trump's politicization of military, based on an article by Alex Henderson. Trump is turning the Pentagon into a loyalty test. The point is control. A group of retired senior officers is warning that Donald Trump and Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth are purging the Pentagon and bending the military toward domestic political theater. Former Joint Chiefs Chair Charles Q. Brown Jr. now says the removals are not about merit, and that the service is being pushed away from professionalism and toward partisan obedience. This was a decision, not a drift. The source tries to keep the language polite, but the power relationship is obvious. Trump fired Brown after returning to office. Hegseth and his aides are reportedly removing officers from promotion lists and nudging others out, including Jen. Chris Donahue after his command in Europe was downgraded. That is not institutional confusion. That is a conscious reshaping of the military's leadership class. The misdirection is the message. The White House says the troop deployments to Los Angeles, Washington, Chicago, and other cities are about lawlessness. Brown's warning cuts through that excuse. When presidents use the armed forces for politically charged domestic missions, they divert the military from its real function and make the institution answerable to a political narrative instead of the Constitution. The framing matters because it hides the true problem. This is not a debate about public safety or restoring order. It is an attempt to normalize the military as a tool of presidential spectacle and internal discipline. Merit gets sacrificed first. Brown's complaint about experienced officers being removed is the key detail. Authoritarian systems do not begin by announcing themselves. They hollow out competence, replace professional standards with loyalty screening, and then insist the purge is about efficiency. The public is told the institution is being fixed while the actual fix is obedience. That is why the careful language from Brown still lands hard. Even without naming Trump and Hegseth directly, he is describing a regime that treats expertise as a liability and neutrality as insubordination. The real casualty is civilian government. The deeper pattern is familiar. When civilian institutions fail or are made to look weak, executives reach for military symbolism to project authority. That move flatters power, not governance. It shifts the burden from building competent civilian capacity to staging force in the streets and calling it leadership. The dangerous part is not just the politicization of the armed forces. It is the normalization of the idea that civilian problems should be solved by military display, while the people making the crisis are rewarded with more control. The system behind the purge. This story is not about a few disgruntled generals. It is about a president and a defense secretary using institutional power to discipline an apolitical chain of command into something more pliable. The result is a military less prepared, less trusted, and more useful to political strongmen. That is the pattern. Weaken the professionals, elevate the loyalists, and sell the public a performance of strength while the institution itself is made smaller, meaner, and less honest. You've been listening to Systemic Error. Thanks to Alternet for today's article. With the automated voice of Kuzal, thanks for listening.